Okay, cool. Okay, so thank you guys for joining my master class. Today we are talking about simple tools to help you get more done. And we're pretty much going to be focusing almost all the time on Trello. So Trello is a productivity app that is free and online, and it's something that I've come to completely love. It is so simple to use, and I find that it's very intuitive, and it's one of those things where I'm not always a fan of adding on too many apps because I think that sometimes technology can complicate your life more than make it simple. But Trello is something that I found that when I started using it with all of my clients on how to take these like big ideas and big goals and use it to organize all of those big things into one place, that they started getting a lot more done. And then so did for the people that I work with that had teams, their teams started getting a lot more done as well. So I think it's a really powerful tool, and I'm excited to share it with you today. What I've done is on Trello here, you can see I'm sharing my screen. What we're going to do is we're going to do a handful of things. We're going to build a board from scratch so that you understand. They're called Trello boards, so that you understand what it looks like, and you can ask questions along the way. And we're really going to I'm going to focus on three different areas. One is how do you take a big goal and break it down and use the board for that. Another one is how do you take that big goal and use Trello then to help you figure out what to do every day. And then the other thing is integrating it with your email. So how do you create tasks directly out of an email that come in? Because it's a really streamlined way. That's a new thing that just came about in the last couple of months of doing that, and that I think is really powerful. So I'll be showing you lots of things in addition to that, but those are the big things we're going to focus on. So I'm going to start. So first, I created a new board, and I just called it the sample board. But up here in the top left is where you see you can name your board. I'll just show you, I have like a million boards. You can see, I have a board for each client. I have like a couple boards I have one for my business. I have one for mine and my husband's finances. I have like all these different ones. So there's lots of different ways for you to use Trello. I just really encourage you, typically when I work with a client, we do one for our relationship. So like us working together. And if I work with a client's team, so I often work in strategy sessions with bigger teams, I create a Trello board for their whole team. And then a lot of times what happens is off of that, each employee will create their own Trello board for their own more personal things in their work life. So there's endless possibilities. This is one way that I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm sure that Trello would show you tons of other ways, but this is something I found really effective. So the terminology here is the whole thing's called a Trello board. And then we've got lists. So right here, just you could see where before I had that, it says add a list. So I'm just going to click right there. We're going to start making a list. So what I'm going to start showing you is how do you take a big goal and then break it down using the board. So we're going to use this goal, and I pulled some of these from my clients. So one of the goals that a client has was to hire, I just printed some things, hire a biller. Okay. So we're going to just do what I like to do. And this was their goal for the first quarter. Oh, now it's thinking. It's probably like, what are you doing? Sorry, I just had to restart. Okay, Q1. I had to restart my computer right before I got on. So I had to do Q1, goal 1, hire biller. Okay, so we're going to save that. So that's our goal for the end of Q1. Okay, so you can see that after I created the first list, another one popped up, but we're going to go back and focus here. So now we're going to add what's called cards. So the list, the title here is the overarching goal of the entire thing and this entire list. And then I'm going to start creating the tasks that are going to help me achieve this overarching goal in these cards. So the next card is going to say, post the job description, or let's do write the job description. Okay. Okay. So I just press enter and it creates a card. The next one, I'm going to say, post the job description. Okay. And the next one, I'm going to say like interview, and they had to create desk space. So I'm just sort of going down and writing the big chunks that need to happen for them to do this. And let's see, one of the things is creating a training plan. Okay, so we're going to stop there because you sort of get the idea of where I'm going with this. But, when I say things like write a job description, it's like, okay, great. When should I write this job description by? So I click on this card. And the card then, this is where the power of Trello comes in, is that, I'm gonna close this out for a minute. You can see this high level list. You know, we've got this one goal. We've got each of the big jobs under it, but that each of these requires additional tasks. And if I were to write this out like in a Word doc, it just gets clouded right away. It gets fuzzy when I look at it, or I'll know like, well, that's just part of it. Like maybe the posting of the job description is going to have a lot of things behind what that needs. And so that's why I love Trello, is that it makes it simple and condensed, but it's really easy to expand and understand what's behind each one. So the first one, writing the job description, that's pretty basic. You know, like that doesn't have a lot to go behind it, but I always like to add due dates. So over here on this right side, you can see that we've got some different things that are going to go with it. And I could put right here, maybe I'm going to want that done by next Friday. Okay. So I just choose a date, save it, and now it has a due date. Okay. So due dates are very powerful for us in terms of us trying to make sure we meet our goals. So I put due dates in almost everything I do, especially with this when we're setting a goal. Okay. So that's the first one that I'll show you. The next one, so say posting the job description. So this is a great one where it's like, well, maybe there's 6 places we want to post it. Okay. So here we're going to create a checklist. So checklists, I mean, most of us are used to actually just writing lists by hand on paper, which I still do sometimes because I sort of love it too. But we're used to doing that, and that's how we function. How do we know what we need to do each day? We just sit down and create a list. But it's nice because you're doing that online ahead of time, where you're thinking through the whole process of achieving your goal in all the different parts of the project. So we're going to go in and we're create a checklist. And so this checklist is going to be called places to post. Okay, so we created this checklist. Now I'm going to add, they want to post on Craigslist, Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Okay, there's maybe some other ones. But then what I can do is you can move these around, okay? You can say, oh, maybe I want to order them. You can, again, we're going to do another due date. So if they got the job description posted by the 30th, then we're going to have these posted by the following Friday, okay? So I can see that they're sort of a week out. Okay, so I'll close this one. So any questions so far? We've got the list, the cards, so each little white part here is called the card, and then we've talked about due dates and checklists. Any questions? Good. Okay, cool. So let's talk about another one. So one of the things we might want to do is, if we go back up to here, when we are done writing the job description, we might attach it. Okay, so you can create attachments. I use Google Drive for like everything. It's ridiculous. But I love that I can attach my documents from Google Drive right in to Trello, because what happens then is I don't have to go search through Google Drive. If I'm like, where did that job description go? And then maybe I have 10 different job descriptions, and and I have to like make sure it's the right position and all that. So it makes it really quick and simple for me to find the things that I need that are directly related to the task at hand. I recommend anytime you're doing these things to support achieving a goal, you really try to put due dates with everything. So hopefully, maybe here the intention is that you have your interviews done by the 27th. So I always recommend giving yourself a little cushion. Probably depends on, if it's posted by the 6th, I'll sort of work back, well, maybe I'm going to review and start calling people in for interviews this week, and then hopefully have interviews wrapped up by the 27th. Of course, that's going to depend on, anytime you're breaking down goals, it depends on your company and the position and all those things, but setting things that are realistic. I'm going to do something here where I'm going to show you guys, like, what if I'm going to hire this person, what if I have an assistant that works with me? Okay. So I'm going to go to this right over here. You can see this thing that says show menu. You click on that and you can invite someone. Okay. So I'm going to invite myself, one of my other emails. Okay. So I'm going to invite Ewalt. And I invited myself to this board, and now I've got another team member on it. So maybe I actually want, I'm going to just call it Danny. I'm going to want Danny to do this part. I'm going to want her to write up the job description, okay? So you can go to this part over here in members, and you could then say that Danny is now responsible for doing the job description. You can see it put a little E there, so for Ewalt. You can give whatever name you want, but this is where the power of using Trello as a team comes in. So, I know Leon, sorry about that, Janet. I know, Janet, you mentioned like you were working with someone else on that project, and it's super awesome when you've got people working together on a project, whether it's an outside contractor or an employee, or you're just co-partners, to really break down who is doing what. You'll get so much more done. There will not be as much miscommunication about when are we going to have that done by, and what's the expectation. If you lay it out like this, and then assign the tasks of who's responsible. Yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah. So can you get within the if we opened up right job description, for example,
Oh, yep.
and let's say there are, it's really common for me to have sub goals within sub goals within sub goals. Can you add well, I see you have a checklist. Can you have different people assigned to different parts of the checklist, or
So
things
here's what I would say is that you'd want to, so anytime there's an overarching task, you want one person to be responsible to get it done, to make sure that it gets done, okay? Within that, though, sometimes I do have people that are like, well, we're going to work together. So let's go into where I already have this checklist. So maybe say that like Jane is going to, I'll put over here, if I wanted to break this up, I'd put like Jane is responsible for Craigslist, okay? And let's see if you could do this. Okay, so you could also do this. So when I did the @ symbol, and that tags someone in your team on your board. Okay. So that's the way to let them know. So that's not putting them as, like we said, the member of the board. So I use the member as like who's responsible to make sure this board gets done. Yeah. But in order to have conversations, it's sort of like on Facebook, right? You use the @ symbol, and you can have conversations back and forth on these boards. So I would say the member here, maybe I'm overarching, making sure this gets done, but then I'm going to just tag this person on this line to say, hey, you do that.
Okay. Okay, good.
Other thing that's awesome is that within that, I might be able to write like, hey, Janet, oops, I got caps on. Janet, Craigslist, Craigslist is now $100. Do we still want to post there? And then I do like an @ Okay. So I would maybe want to have a conversation about getting this project done, so I could post that. And then what happens is you can now, like if that other person came in, they would reply to it. Okay. And so it's really nice to have a conversation about the topic at hand. And the thing is, so you create a board and your team members on a board, but people don't get notified unless they're following. There's certain ways. You can follow the whole board. You can follow one card. You only get notifications if somebody talks directly to you. So it doesn't clog up your email.
Yes, that's really nice. That's really nice.
It's like, I can't even tell you how powerful that is to be able to have conversations that are productive outside of email, and then go through it right in the task at hand. So it's like the conversation that is applying to this topic, it's easy to find, versus sometimes when I'm on other projects, then people won't use Trello. They're resistant. I have to go in and search my email with a bunch of keywords like this, and this. Trying to find, because maybe I email with that person a lot, so there's a ton of emails from them. And then I'm like, but I'm trying to find when they talked about this one thing. But if we're using Trello, it's right there in that topic. So that's a really powerful time-saving way for that to work.
Sure. Yeah, I experience that a lot as well.
Right? It's super frustrating. Do you have any questions about that? But I haven't found any other way to assign people within the card. You'd want to almost, I would say, if you do like sub list of sub lists, create more cards.
Create more cards,
Break it out. Like if actually posting the job description was actually a pretty big project and it had like subs of subs.
Right.
Just break it out and do a new list.
Right. Okay. Good to know. I'm trying to get a sense of IT people will tell, like sometimes when people look at my computer, they'll be like, why do you have so many folders within folders within folders? And it's like, this is how it makes sense to me.
Right. And that like flatten it out. You've got to do what makes sense to you. And this is the way that I'm showing you guys, is that it makes sense to me, but it's also, and some of the things I've taken from my clients, like I gave them a framework and they've tweaked it and perfected it even more. And I was like, love that. This is great. And this is what I have found that has worked with their teams as well. And that's why it's been so powerful, that it's not just me saying like, this is what works for me. It's been, this is what's worked for a lot of my clients. And that this way of breaking down, and we're going to get into some more things, but this way has been really helpful for them to be able to take both a high level view and then a daily task, at the same time. So, okay. So we've got this laid out. It's pretty basic, but I just want to get you guys the idea of how it works. We're assigning things. So there's some fun things up here. You see, anytime you see 3 dots, you want to inquire, take a look what's there. So there's a couple of things you can do. You could copy this list. Say I was like, oh, in addition to hiring a biller, we need to hire a scheduler. Okay, so it's pretty much, same thing, different person. And boop, it just showed up all right there. So that's a really nice thing, that if you're like, this is for a different outcome, but it's similar, and then I go through and create that. So that's one option.
Can you copy lists between boards?
That's a good idea. You might be able to. Look at that. So I went to move list, so I could copy it, and then I could go, and you can see these are all the boards I have, because I have this for itself for clients. But
good.
So yeah, so you could do that. Yeah, which is awesome. So one of the biggest things that drives me and other people nuts, and I'll just warn you, is that if you have this, like, so if this task here, create desk space, when it's done, there's not like a checkoff spot. So that's sort of annoying. You have to go into this little thing on the side, and you can edit the label, change members, move it, copy it, or archive it. Archive it's how I delete it. So there's 2 different ways that people like it, and it's a personality thing. You can either just archive it and it goes into an archive. You can search for that. Or sometimes people create a completed card, and they would just say, yeah, you know what, I'm done with the desk space. I'm just going to move it over there. Okay. So that depends on your personality, if you want to still see what you got done or not. But that's the way that I would do that. Let's go back to, okay, so one of the things I'm going to show you is today. There's 2 other ways that I see clients really liking the board. So they've got their goal. So typically they'd have like goal 1 and goal 2, okay, broken down. But then it's like, well, what do I need to do today? And so there's always a million little things that creep up every day. And what I've been doing, and what my clients seem to do as well, is that they're going to say, this week I need to, like, I'm going to write that job description. So some people will take this, will take a card and they'll copy it. They'll say, I'm going to copy this and put it on today this week. Okay. I'm going to add it. So it's I maybe don't move it in this goal list here, but I'm going to make sure that this is the thing I do this week. I know that I need to work on it. Some people will just move it. Like, you can actually just pick these things up and move them too. Really easy. You can order them. You can move them up and down. And that's another thing. Like, when I break it down the goal, I list them all out by the date that they're due. Okay, chronologically, it's very helpful. And a lot of times you're just sort of putting them all out there, and then I shuffle them up and down. Maybe other things that I need to do this week is to, like, schedule a meeting room, random little things that I don't want to forget. I need to, send out a blog post. You just go through and write down the things that you need to do. And then what I do, so this is going to depend. Do you like to do it on a daily basis or a weekly basis? A lot of people like to just have an overarching, like, this week, these are the things I'm going to focus on. But then I recommend every day that you sit down, you literally come in and reorganize these, okay? And that's one of the things that I like. So when I'm writing, I have a notebook that I carry with me all the time, and I write my to-do list, but then I also take notes on conversations that I have. So then I have to go back and find my list, and sometimes I rewrite, what do I need to do again, because I didn't get it all done. And so what I've been doing now with my Trello board is I keep this open, and at the beginning of every workday, I just sit down, I look at my goals, but then I look at this list here, and I just reorganize, like, okay, this is what I need to work on first. Most important thing always goes on top. I make sure to get that done first. And then I just sort of go down the list, okay? And it helps me keep on task, because working, especially for me, working alone is really challenging to keep me on task. I super struggle, and just like random ideas. And then I spent time doing this, and I answered an email. And I have to come back to this. What is the most important thing for me to do today to actually move my business forward? And that's the thing with this. We're setting the intention of, like, these are things that we're declaring are going to move our business forward, not just, like, schedule a meeting room. That's sort of like the minutia. but sometimes it still needs to happen, and I could forget that, you know? So that's where you can create that list, move things around, and then I just end up archiving them at the end of the day. Yeah, Janet.
So, Danny, in terms of having this list to take with you, I looked for like an app for my phone for Trello, and I didn't see it. But does it exist?
It's awesome.
They do have one? Okay, because I was like, I kind of need the list with me, not just on the
it's actually, there is an app, and it's really great. I highly recommend it, and most of my clients use it as well. And the view of the app, so your phone screen sort of mimics one list like this that I'm outlining here, which is, it's really nice, and it's really easy to scroll between. It's really simple, and I've used it on my phone. I use it more on my computer, but I've definitely used it on my phone, and it works well. Especially like you're saying, like when you're out and when you're like, what is it that I need to look on? Yep, it is available. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it should be for both iPhone and Android. I have an iPhone, but I know some of my other clients don't, and that they've used it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've got an iPhone as well, and so I must not have looked for the right thing.
One of the things that so you can see at the top, I have a little red dot on my icon. That means I have a notification over here, the red bell. I almost always have notifications. You know, somebody, you know, sent me a thing that we're like checking on. And so that's like on your app as well, just like, you know, all the other things. It sends you a little notification when somebody tags you, or what'll happen. Like say we put this create a training plan, and the due date was today. The due date was tomorrow. Okay. So you see how it's yellow? So it's sort of nice because as the due date approaches, I don't know how close it is. It's within a day or two, it turns yellow. And then when it's late, it turns red. So then if we said that we actually should have written the job description by yesterday, you'll see that that's red. So as you're working together or apart, it's nice to know, like, I'm a little behind. I need to catch up. And these you can then do the check off. Okay, you see that, and there's the checklist there, which is nice to know. And then it'll turn green. So if you're going through your goal and you see like greens with all your to-dos, you're like, yeah, that's right, I'm on track. You know, I'm getting all my stuff done. So it's a good way to check on that. So we've got this week or today's list. We've got how to break down the goal here. We've gone over how to assign people certain tasks. And what I do with the goal in terms of assigning a task is I would up here say, I usually just put at the end, if there's a whole team working on it, I would put who is responsible for that task right in the name of it, and I capitalize it. There's not a way to assign that to for the whole list, but that's how I've worked it.
So a question again, so when you demonstrated turning it green, so can you show that again?
Yeah, so essentially it was just that I put the due date as yesterday.
Okay.
So that, and then I checked it. Okay, so
and you just put a check mark. So it's kind of like crossing it off the list.
It is. That's where I feel like if you have due dates. If you don't have due dates, though, you don't.
Oh, I gotcha.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of times I don't do due dates in my this week or today over here, but I do them on my goals. So you could definitely do them. Say like, I want to have this done by today, and then go through and just check it all off, and then feel great. Yeah, whichever one works. Yeah, so that's typically how I see it working. One of the other things, so I always recommend doing a scorecard and like tracking your metrics. And I, again, like if let's complete it, like, so a lot of times I like it when in this, my caps lock's on, sorry. Okay, if I go here, I like to put my scorecard right in my Trello board. So I attach it to my Google Drive, and I'll just show you what that looks like. It's really easy to select a file. So say that I've got this demo scorecard. It's thinking. Okay, so I can just attach that right there. Okay. So then every Monday when I sit down and I'm going to say I'm going to enter in my last week's numbers, I can just go in here and I click it, and it takes me right to that scorecard rather than having to go search in my file system. This is super awesome, especially when there's multiple people looking at things, because it's like there's no question of which file or where is it, or oh, I forgot to look at it, but it's right there. Or if there's like certain things that I frequently look at, I like to put them in a Trello board somewhere. Like this is something that I reference all the time. So that's a easy way, and you can comment or remove it, you know, again, all the things in there. So it's a nice, just an easy way. And then you can see it's the little paperclip icon that there's an attachment. Okay, this other awesome tip I want to show you is how to create a task in your Trello board from your email. So I've got this email up right now, okay, and this guy is asking me, do you know where I can find invoice information? So that means that I need to remember to like get him an email that says, here's how to find this. So Trello has a Chrome extension that you can download, and it goes into your email. So you just would want to go to Google and search for a Trello Chrome extension. And then it installs in your Gmail. And I gotta be honest, I don't know about other emails, so I just hope that you're using Gmail. but so it installs here. So from here, it's on the side of all my emails, and I could just click this and I can say add a card. Okay, so then I get to go choose what card I want to add it to. So we are in sample board. Link I got, let's see, what board are we in? Too many boards.
Yeah, you mentioned you had a few, huh?
Yeah. I'm like,
Hey, the working sample, maybe that one?
maybe. I think it's a different one. It's called sample board, but it looks like it might not be updated. So that's interesting. So that's interesting to see, but we're just going to put it in my working sample because that's one of them, and I can show you that. So, so I'm going to click on that one and the list. So I have today, I have, you know, again, hiring these different, you know, these different things, the different lists. So again, the board is called working sample. The list, again, this topic, these are each lists at the top. So this board has today, goal 1, goal 2, okay? So and then you can title it, and I could say find invoice. And then it'll sync the whole email, and I'm going to show you this. Now,
good. Yeah, I was wondering if you just got your information or if it attached the email too.
So I'll show you. I'll show you what it looks like. The thing that doesn't work right now is the due date. So it's one of those things, like it's got some bugs. It just launched like less than like a month or two ago, maybe. So it's a new extension, but I feel like it's still worth it. So I'm going to add this into my board, and now I'm going to have to show you the board that I put it on. Working sample. Okay, so we're gonna go to this board. It's another one of my sample boards. You can see where I wrote find the invoice now in today's. So when I click on this, it just copied the entire email in here, okay? So it's really nice. I've got all the information from that email right there, okay? So now I know, and then I could write, you know, I can go in here and then I can put the due date because the due date's not really working. And if I want to put anything else in, but this way I don't forget it. Like I had one client literally just this morning, I met with him, and he's like, I read my emails and then I mark them as unread because I know I still need to do something with them, but then I forget to always go back and do that. And he uses Trello, and he's like, it'd be really nice if I could put it in my list of to-dos versus needing to search through my emails again and getting distracted by more emails, and then, you know, trying to figure out what is it that I need to do. So I really like this new thing that they did to sync it right with your email, because that's where lots of your to-dos will come from often. So it's an easy, quick way to do that. So we'll go back to our original board. I've got one other thing I want to show you, and then we can wrap up. But the next one is, so I know that as entrepreneurs, we have a million ideas. Always. And it's really easy for us to get distracted from these goals that we've set out as like, these are the most important things we need to do. And so over here on the right side, I do an issues and opportunities. Okay. So I'm going to create this card, and then anytime you have a new idea, like, ooh, I want to expand into a new market. Okay. Or I want to open another shop. Or, you know what I think might be a good idea is that if I start, I'm going to dive into LinkedIn strategy. So these are just random things that are coming to me. I don't know. They actually have nothing to do with this board. But you know, it's like anytime you have an idea, or like, I think someone is going to quit. You know, oh, quiet, not quite, but quit. You know, just like, so you're thinking of like, what are issues? So both you want to think of like challenges, like I need to, you know, redo my QuickBooks setup. So like anytime you're like, this is nagging me in the back of my mind. This is either an opportunity I might want to do, but I know I need to focus on these other things, or this is something that like I need to deal with and it's not really fun, but I probably need to deal with it for my business. But it's not a pressing need. It's not the most important thing right now. So I put those over here. And then when I start every quarter, I'm like creating new goals, then I go look at this list and I say, okay, are any of these rising to the top as things that I should jump on as an opportunity or that I should deal with? And that sort of, I like that it gives me this placeholder, that like, it doesn't feel like I'll forget it, but I also, because it's in the same board as my goals, it reminds me like, even though that's a good idea, this other thing needs to get done. I've declared this as my top priority. Okay. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of other questions regarding the board in general. One question would be, I think you showed how to have a completed part of a card and stick it in the completed. Can you stick an entire card in the completed as well?
You can just drag and drop. That's all it is.
Yeah, but can you do like all of goal 2?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's see. I don't think you can put a list in a list.
Okay.
You can move
let's
all
see.
cards in the list though.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so you could put all of the cards in the created one if everything's done.
If everything's done.
Yeah.
The other question would be, can you collapse the lists so you don't see all the stuff if you want to?
No, and they can get a little harried.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I've got a tendency to have so many lists going, but this will definitely help. This will help a lot.
So I don't, I haven't seen that. You can collapse it at all, but it's just the within the card. That's where you can. And I've also seen where like I had so many that I'm like scrolling to the right forever. And then I was like, okay, I need a new board. At this point, I need a new board, like too many things. So, so I try to keep it down to like 10, maybe at most. I am like a huge believer in like the more simple it is, the better. And I would say like with teams, this is so powerful to like be able to assign things to different people. And the people that I work with often run their meetings off of these. I set it up a little bit different when there's a whole team working together, but this is the basic outline for a lot of it. I'm trying to see in this show menu here, you can invite people. There's these power-ups, you can sync it. So if you're using a CRM, I know that it integrates with Pipedrive. Both my husband and another client of mine were using Pipedrive, and so they could integrate their Trello board with Pipedrive. There's a lot of integrations that Trello has. I'm not super familiar with all of them, but it's pretty amazing where you can change the background photos. You can, there's lots of different things you can do. You can invite people. There's lots of different options. You could follow the whole board. So if you want to be notified anytime somebody puts something on there, you just put that on there. The other thing that's sort of cool is you can do, and like say you have like 5 people working with you and you want everybody to know something, you can do at board. Board. Okay. So then everyone on the whole team will know something. That's another fun little tip.
What are some of the things that, are there some things that stand out to you as, I guess, hurdles that people have when they first start adopting, or little things that they usually trip up on?
Yeah, literally like opening it. So, it's just like, it's a new thing, so it's like getting used to looking at it regularly. Because if so when I work with a client, I set up the Trello board for them. But if they don't go into it on a regular basis, it's worthless. If we only look at it once a week to check on how they're doing, it's not super helpful. It really needs to be something that you look at every day, and are using it as the tool. Like what do I need to get done? And that, I do recommend like sort of going all in. So if you're doing Trello and another, like Asana is another project management tool that I've used and I'm not a huge fan of. If you're using that and Trello and other things, it's just not going to work. Like choose one. If you like Asana better, cool, go with it. But choose one thing and go in with it, because then the more stuff you have going on in a place, the more likely you are to go with it, to go there and to use it more frequently. So I think the biggest thing is like integrate it so that, use the email extension, go on the board, like when you go into your computer in the morning, open your email and open your Trello board. And then like install the app so that you do look at it. So I think the biggest thing is like committing to using it.
Okay.
That's honestly the number one. And then the other thing people get annoyed with is like, how do I delete the tasks? Like I showed you how to archive.
Right.
That definitely annoys people where they're like, what do I do with that? So I did notice, like, so one client told me this, that he invited, so I invited everyone on his team to the Trello board after we did our team strategy day. And so she had an invite. So she went to the board and there was like a green bar across, like right under where it says Trello, that says like, click to like sign in. But she kept just looking at it and being like, why can't I add to anything? Why can't I interact? Because she hadn't actually signed in, but she had just sort of missed. So she could see the board, but she couldn't interact on it yet, but it's because she had to actually follow through the sign in. So if you
Yeah.
invite people to your board, just make sure that like that they're actually signing in. It sounds like
Yeah.
it might have just been user error, but yeah.
No, I've had that problem before too. I'll go to a web page where they'll make something super obvious, but somehow the fact that it's different, I don't see it. I'm like, what did I miss? What did I miss? I'm looking around.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So you like Google Drive. I've
Yes.
just started using Google Drive.
For everything.
And so you're attaching documents from here to Google Drive. So I expect that that's like a live link. So if you update the Google Drive document, it
That's the
just
thing that I
connects
love
to it
about
from here.
Google Drive. Like Dropbox, if you open it and a friend opens it, or like it's someone on your team opens it at the same time, you create a duplicate copy. It's super annoying. Whereas like if I open a document and my client opens one and we're both looking at it, cool. I can actually see them editing in real time.
Do you edit? So do you edit in Google Drive then? Because I've found myself going, gosh, this seems like Excel files seem really cumbersome.
Well, they're just like
Not sure
regular
about Word
Excel.
documents. What was that?
They're just like regular Excel. They're no different.
Yeah, I guess when I've opened them, it's been really not user friendly for me. But
Well, it's like anytime you're doing something new, it takes a little bit to get used to.
yeah, true.
So I feel like I mean
But
I love it, and I
yeah.
don't use Excel and Word anymore. I only use Google Drive.
Oh, so you're using within Google Drive, you're using like software that they have there that is like Word or like
Yeah,
Excel.
yeah.
Okay.
I've got Sheets. It's like Google
Okay.
Sheets is their Excel, and Docs is their Word. And so yeah, I don't even use those other ones because it's so easy. Like Google, everything's integrated.
Okay.
Google Drive.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording. And let's see.